What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night, time to talk some football. I'm your boy, SAJ. I am coming to you live from, I don't know where. I don't know.
You can't.
You know what? You know what? I was going to say something. I'm not going to. I'm going to save it for our guest, who's going to be coming on in just a second. I'm going to come live from the Solo Service Studios again, just because I love that place.
There you go. What's up, everybody? I am BD, and today I'm going to be coming at you from the Canyon Cafe Studios. Little restaurant in the quarry. Went there a few times. It was okay, but it's a closed restaurant, so it counts for our studio. So
it counts for something.
Absolutely.
You know what? Our special guest that we have tonight may have a nice place that they're going to be coming from. Let's welcome 210 Bramacita. Jackie, welcome to the show once you get that Corpus internet figured out. So, as is tradition here on Texans Talking
Hello, Jackie,
Football,
are you there?
Yeah. As is tradition on Texans Talking Football, we
I'm
always
telling
come
y'all.
from a studio. Yeah. We're telling you that spectrum.
Am I live? Am I good?
You're on.
You're on. I don't know if
Okay,
you're live.
I'm coming
But anyways,
from the Sticks of 361 Studios. There you go.
There you go. Or you could come from the Boat and Net Studios. Sad day. Yeah.
I know. They still are everywhere.
Shout out to Boat and
so
Net. Yeah.
I drive
Shout out
by
to Boat and
and-
Net down there in Corpus.
R.I.P.
So, yes. So, you guys know us. You know us well enough to know that we love to cut up. We love to have fun here. We do take some time to prep, but not a whole bunch, right? We like to be of a reactionary show, kind of on the fly. But we wanted to bring Jackie in because this is obviously opening weekend. Cowboys just had an incredible game, and they also signed Dak Prescott to an insane contract. So I wanted to get our two resident Cowboy fans' reactions. First, why don't we talk about what's up, Solrak, my guy? Look, I'm ready. I got you, baby. That's the guy who did this helmet for us. So much love for him. Oh, and he also did this lovely little helmet right here. And shout out to our friends at the Horns Forward podcast. He did this little helmet also. So
Very nice.
Mad love for Solrak. Anyways, two Cowboys fans. Let's start out first. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We're going to keep this apolitical here. Okay. Everybody who's watching us definitely they love football more than they love politics, and I can respect.
That's right. Hey, you know what? We appreciate everybody that's watching us right now.
Yes.
Instead of that other thing that's going on.
And in honor of my Green Bay Packers giving somebody a huge contract and that person getting injured, I put my throwback jersey on because we're kind of known for that. So anyways, first things first. First reaction. Dak Prescott gets a 4-year, $260 million contract. BD and 210 Bramacita, what are your thoughts on that? Ladies first.
Oh, can you hear us?
So yeah,
Maybe
I guess, and you all are like serious on my iPad. I'll be back.
Okay.
Let's try that. Let's try that. All right.
So while she's doing that, I was not surprised when the CD deal came down. That's what I said. It was going to happen the week before the season started. It was exactly what I expected. I was surprised at this. I was not expecting Prescott to get a deal before the season. I thought they would, let him play out and work out a deal in the offseason next year. I know there was a story that came out that said Dak was likely to test the free agent market next year. And I'm wondering if that maybe scared Jerry a little bit. wanting to hold on to Dak. So maybe that pressured him into getting a deal worked out a little quicker because as the week ended last week, we did see hear a little bit chatter that hey they might get something done, maybe get something done before the season starts, stuff like that. So once it broke, it was like all right, well I guess so. Am I happy with the deal? No. I don't think that Dak has earned a 4-year, $280 million contract. 80 million of it was a signing bonus. 230 million of that is guaranteed. So that's 4 years, 230 million that the Cowboys are guaranteed on the hook for no matter what happens. You know, Dak has we've said it for as long as we've done this show and as long as he's been the quarterback of the Cowboys. He's a good regular season quarterback, but come playoff time he disappears. And if you're going to be paid, the biggest contract in NFL history, then you can't disappear come playoff time. Um, I was watching the pregame show, and Michael Strahan said it best. So I wrote down his quote. It says, "You don't get paid to be almost good enough. You get paid to win it all." And Dad got paid, so now he's got to win it all. He's got to go out and prove that he was worth that contract.
Yeah, I do not disagree. Let's bring Jackie in. Looks like
Hey,
it's working
look,
now.
he's back.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Spectrum.
You need to call Netscape and complain.
That's right.
Freaking AOL. Gee, it's literally making my eye twitch. God.
XFL Mike G has a good point here.
I mean, if the Cowboys don't win, then yeah, who are you going to get rid of? You're the quarterback you just signed to the most expensive contract in NFL
Yes,
history,
get him out of there.
or the coach.
Take
So
him off.
No, here's the problem. You're gonna be stuck with Prescott now because with that kind of a contract and the guaranteed money, they are not going to be able to get rid of him and find any kind of a solution that they're going to be able to afford. So McCarthy is on the chopping block now, plain and simple. If he does
Absolutely.
not produce results at this point, it is 100% on McCarthy. And even if Prescott becomes the league's worst quarterback, like worse than was Ryan Leaf or some of the other cats that we've had, he will still be around for the next 4 years because that's guaranteed money, and Jerry Jones is going to use the crap out of him. I mean,
Yep.
he may be doing some landscaping at the field. He may be selling some concessions. He may be doing something, but it's going to be in addition to him being the world's worst quarterback on the Dallas Cowboys because Jerry is not going to be able to find anybody that's going to pick up that kind of a contract for a quarterback that is not that caliber.
Not for at least probably 2 to 3 years, maybe depending on how the contract is set up. Maybe it's a smaller hit towards the last back part of it, and maybe can get rid of him in that. But first at least 2-3 years, we're stuck with them. But what were your initial thoughts of the contract, Jackie?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you all already know how I feel about Dak. He is not.
He's not the guy.
He is not our guy. And I just felt like, God, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, God. Trash, waste of money. I said it. Yeah, he has great stats, blah, blah, blah. But what does that do for us? He is a me guy. He is not a team player. I don't feel it. He's not worth it. He is not worth the money at all. And now we're stuck with him.
Yeah. And with that, with Dak's contract, with CeeDee's contract before, Micah Parsons is going to need to get paid. Micah Parsons deserves to get paid more than anybody else on this team. Diggs, he's gonna want a contract in a year or two. All these players, like where's the money going to come from these? I
feel like we shot ourselves in the foot. Jerry Jones shot us in the foot.
Yeah, that's almost more like he shot you guys right in the head. Like look at the pretty flowers style.
Exactly.
So
Out to the back.
But but we and well, I guess to say I was hoping on, trying to earn a contract. Dak was kind of going to, lead me my fantasy teams to victory. So now I got a contract Dak. So, I know we're going to talk about fantasy, a little later, just how he did, but it didn't work out too well. He got me 12 points, in the leagues that I've got him in. So I'm like, this is not trying to earn a contract Dak, which is what I was banking on. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So, being that we're talking about the Cowboys, overall, I know Jackie, you were busy doing stuff out of town and visiting people and didn't really have a whole lot of time to tune in to your precious Cowboys. But you saw the reviews,
Fresh
okay?
Cowboys.
Overall, how do you guys think that the Cowboys did this weekend?
Given who we were playing, I mean, I would expect them to do that. That's their trash team too. So
well, they did have the best defense last year, and so I think for the most part, we held the defense in check. You know, I will say the very first play of the game was a handoff to Zeke, and he went around to the right side and just hurtled over a defender. It was like old Zeke in the backfield again. Now, of course, the play got called back for a stupid holding penalty, but just seeing that, like, okay, and obviously it's the first game, so Zeke hasn't played all preseasons, but like if we get that kind of Zeke, after basically taking a year off in New England last year, then hey,
you're
pretty solid backfield, and Dak, didn't play it all in preseason. CD didn't play it all in preseason. A lot of the passes, it looked like they've been working out together. There was a couple great passes that CD just threw it right in the exact right spot. Um, and I will say, like I said, I talk a lot of crap about Dak. I always have. But that touchdown pass he made to Cooks for the first touchdown of the game was an absolute beautiful pass. He threw it before Cooks even came out of his break, and it was exactly where it was supposed to be. Like Cooks didn't have to make any kind of adjustment to his route at all. So that was like that was perfect. Now Dak did make a couple other passes that were like, yep, that's Dak. But he had 30 interceptions. I think he only got like 170 yards, that one touchdown. So, like I said, it wasn't a stellar game, but the game was also pretty handily, out. It was a win pretty early, so they were mainly focused on running the ball, and didn't really do too much. So I'm not surprised Dak didn't have a monster game, just because of how the game went, and just because they were kind of relying on the run mostly.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I didn't get to watch the whole entire thing because I don't like Cowboys. So why am I going to watch it? No, I'm kidding.
I watched your team.
Yeah, I watched your
Yes.
team too.
Well, I'm sorry.
Rude.
I'm sorry for my team. We're going to get to that in a little
very
bit.
upset with that.
Yeah.
Are we there? Are we in that subject now?
We're going to get to that in a bit. I did want to say, though, that I was impressed by the Cowboys' defense. Did not expect. I knew that they were going to be a strong defense. Now, granted, we're talking about Cleveland, right? I want to see what they're going to do against a powerhouse team. However, it's not like Cleveland's loaded with a bunch of slackers either. Okay, so for them to be able to come out that strong that quickly on the first game, that tells me that the Cowboys' defense is really going to be something to reckon with this year.
And, that was my question. Obviously, Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator last year went to go coach Washington, and so we brought Zimmer in. It's a totally different, scheme kind of than what we've seen the last few years, and kind of the best Cowboys defense that we've seen probably in my lifetime over the last few years. How what's going to happen with the new defensive coordinator? I don't feel like they missed a beat. Just they were, Parsons was in the backfield damn near every play. Lawrence was in the backfield damn near every play. The players were where they were supposed to be. We got, a couple interceptions. I think we talked about that a lot last year. Like the Cowboys were not getting turnovers. They were dropping interceptions or just not getting spots. Yeah, they were stopping teams, but they weren't getting the turnovers. We got 2 interceptions this game. I think we got a fumble recovery. Um, so if that trend continues, then that's a really dangerous defense. So, which is really what's going to be needed to carry us more than the first round of the playoffs. So,
Yeah. So let's talk about my Green Bay Packers. Okay. and we'll make it quick. This game did not go as I thought at all. And one of our
I was rooting for y'all.
and I appreciate that. And unfortunately, they dropped the ball at the very end. Uh, Jordan Love, I'm very concerned about this whole situation with his MCL. I think he's going to try and play a little bit of hero ball and wind up hurting himself worse. I know he's fighting to not be put on the inactive list because that's going to mean 4 games minimum that he's not going to be able to play, and so he's pushing hard to try and be ruled as eligible, even if he doesn't actually play. He wants to make sure that he's eligible for Sunday's game.
Yeah, even because they said the injury was a 3 to 6 week healing period. He's hoping to get back 3 to 4 weeks, but I think if you're on IR, I don't think you can practice until like the week before you're eligible to come off of IR. Don't quote me on that. I think that's how it works, but it may not be. But you do have to kind of be away from the team a little bit on practice if you're on IR, and I think that's probably what he's trying to avoid.
Right. But this was pardon me, allergies, man.
All of you.
Yeah. This was not necessarily a surprising game. On paper, Jordan's stats were not bad. He was 17 to 34, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, right? What really surprised me was Josh Jacobs, that did not come out nearly as strong as we were kind of hoping for. And then with the loss of A.J. Dillon, where's that 1-2 punch that we were all hoping for? We lost an incredible running back in Green, and now he's taking snaps from Minnesota, and it's like, well, crap, now we got to face that. That's not going to be good for us. And if we can't put up a good, strong showing against Philadelphia, and keep in mind, we were ahead for a little while, but when that third quarter started, then we lost that lead, and then we were trying to play catch up the entire game, and we just were not getting it done. Yeah. And then poor Malik Willis, right? He gets picked up by Green Bay the week before the season actually starts. He's literally traded for a 7th round pick. That tells you that the guys that we had, Clifford and the other quarterback, weren't even that good, right? So what happened to our quarterback talent that we had? I saw some really great cats in preseason that would have smoked Clifford, and now they're just gone. Like, I don't even know where they're at. They're probably at the pick and save or something up there in Sheboygan or something, But our run game was not really what we thought it would be, and it wasn't like Philadelphia was necessarily really crushing us on the runs. It's almost like we were running basic plays because people just weren't exactly sure where they were supposed to be. Our receiving yards were pretty solid. I am surprised that Romeo Dobbs only got 4 receptions for 50 yards total. But Jaden Reed went off for 138, man. That's pretty impressive.
Well, I think one of those came on it was like a 70-yard play, right?
Yeah.
His.
Yeah,
so,
it was a very big play.
Even outside of that, you're at 3 receptions for almost 70 yards. So even like that's still that's good yardage on those. So
yeah,
he was impressive. Had a couple nice runs. Obviously the 70-yard touchdown. He was sitting on my bench on one of my leagues, but for the Eagles, Saquon Barkley, man, 3 touchdowns. That's now. Who knows? He may get injured next week, and those be his only touchdowns for the season. But
are we manifesting right now?
Well,
maybe. Maybe.
And Hurts didn't have a bad game either, right? 20 of 34, 278 yards.
Yeah.
And those pretty impressive numbers too. And it's not like this is his first rodeo. I mean, the guy knows what to do. So
Yeah, and that's been Saquon's biggest hurdle, with the Giants the last, 4 years is staying healthy. The man gets hurt, faster than anybody else. He gets hurt more than Mr. Glass. So, if he can make it through the season, yeah, Philly's going to be dangerous with him in the backfield. But, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yep. Now, Mike brings up a good point that Green Bay should have brought in a veteran to mentor Love. And it's funny that Mike mentions this because I actually was looking at this yesterday. And there are a few guys out there that would have been a great fit. You guys are probably going to, anybody from the NFC North is probably going to fall out in awe and shock from what I'm about to say. But Kirk Cousins is available. Kirk Cousins knows, he did great things in Minnesota, right? They just decided to go a different route.
He's not available. He's in Atlanta.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the starter for Atlanta.
Okay, well, then the article that I read, they didn't update it. So, yeah. There's a couple of other guys that are out there. Ryan Tannehill was a name that was mentioned. Probably not the best option, right? But there's other veteran quarterbacks.
But if you're looking for veteran leadership, Ryan Tannehill is probably one of the better options you can pick because he's been in the league forever. He'd been a starter. He's been a backup. He's been in the playoffs. He's experienced everything. And that's what you want to have as a veteran leader for the team, especially as a mentor to someone like Jordan Love. Hey, this is what you're going to expect. This is what you'll see. Tannehill's perfect for that.
Yeah. There's one other. This is going to be a little bit of a stretch going back into history here, but bring in some of that old Fitz magic, baby. Bring back Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, geez.
He knows what to do.
He's way too comfortable on the Thursday Night Football sidelines.
You're not wrong. Phillip Rivers, right?
Oh, yeah.
There are options out there.
Phillip Rivers has probably had like 5 kids since he last played, so he may need the money.
That's true. But so Green Bay could definitely benefit from an experienced leader to help mentor, Jordan Love and get him over some of these, because the pressure's on now. He signed this huge contract, 4-year, $200 million, something like that. So now he needs to produce, right? He needs that backup quarterback with the leadership experience of a guy like Tannehill or something like that can kind of help get him through some of those humps that Aaron Rodgers never would have gotten him through, right? And I think that would really benefit Jordan Love in his career here. But fingers crossed, I'm hoping that Packers know what they're doing, that they bet on the right horse in this race, and we'll see what happens. So,
y'all played Philly. Philly's one of the best teams in the league. So,
how dare you?
Oh,
they are. Hey, and when we beat them twice this season, we'll beat one of the best teams in the league. It's just facts, But so don't, obviously it's not the end of the season because y'all lost to Philly. But where do you go from here? You're gonna have Malik Willis as your as the starter coming forward, or y'all got to bring somebody else in just be a backup. And what are y'all doing with that?
We're gonna have to wait and see. Honestly, I think they're probably gonna keep Willis around and try and see what they can get out of him, especially considering we're playing the Colts this next week. I don't think that that's a game that's unwinnable without Jordan Love. I think we potentially will rely on our run a little bit more and see what we can open up there. And hopefully Willis will figure out how to throw it forward to a receiver and get some yards and not throw it backwards or throw it to the wrong uniform guy. We'll see what happens. But speaking of seeing what happens, this was the introduction of the dynamic kickoff this weekend, right? This is a kickoff that us as XFL fans have been used to for several years now. And now it's finally, go figure, the powers that be at the UFL decided last season that we're not going to do that. And then the NFL was like, well, hold on now, right? And so we have the dynamic kickoff. Talk to me about your thoughts on the dynamic kickoff. What did you guys think about it?
I mean, I
Go
was
ahead.
ready. I mean, it was fun to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a whole season, so it was just seeing it in the NFL is just a little bit different than our league. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see them do it. I feel
Yeah,
like
and
Yeah.
I've been having to explain to a lot of people, who are not familiar with the XFL, what it is, how the kickoff works, and stuff like that. And so, a lot of people don't watch preseason, so you saw a lot of posts like, "What the hell is this? What is this
uh,
kickoff? I don't understand it." But kind of the proof of why it's in there is the results that we got. I don't know. People saw they showed on the games. A lot of the stats of 22% of the kicks were returned last season in the NFL. That was almost 80% touchbacks. Nobody wants to see touchbacks; they suck.
yeah,
We had 36% of kicks were fielded this year or this first week. So it's already an increase of almost 15%. So and we got to see our first touchdown this first week in the Arizona game. So you get to see kind of a lot more exciting kickoff returns, kind of some run backs, and you could see the touchdown too. So you
hmm
kind of got to see why they made the move to a kickoff style like this. And a lot of people complaining because it's something new, something different, something they're not used to. But I think a lot, kind of like what we did in the XFL when we first saw it, is they'll get used to it.
yeah.
By week 2, week 3, they'll kind of enjoy it, kind of
They'll
like what we.
enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say though, I do think that it needs to be incentivized a little bit more. I think the kicking team does need to face a little bit stiffer of a penalty because you're noticing a lot of the kickers are trying to put it in the end zone because big deal, right? It comes out to the 30, right?
Yeah.
Who
Maybe
cares?
maybe push it to the 35. Maybe not the 40. Because I mean 40 is if it goes out of bounds. Um,
Yeah.
or maybe move that to the 45 and put a kickoff. If they kick it into the end zone at the 35. I do like the ones. You'll see them kind of. I saw it. How was last night's game? They drilled it like kind of a squib kick that hits right on the end zone and then bounces out, so it goes out to the 20. You'll see a lot of gamesmanship like that. So I know
Yep.
people would say like, well, this doesn't really showcase a lot of the kickers' talents as much, but it kind of does because you can watch them kind of angle and place the kickoff where they want it to. So the better kickers will be able to do that.
yep.
Yep. So speaking of placing things in certain areas, let's talk about how Tyreek Hill placed himself into the spotlight this week before the game. Okay. I want to get your raw thoughts on this whole Tyreek Hill Orlando Police Department controversy thing, whatever it was. Okay. You guys go.
Don't tell me
So
what. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
did you
Go
see
ahead.
did you see the body cam video?
Yeah,
I
but
did.
it's like not all of it, right? There's like it's just a portion of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably the one I saw was probably like 2 or 3 minutes or whatever,
Yeah,
until all the
I
good stuff
I read
happened.
somewhere where like there's still like there's pieces of it still not shown. It's not the full thing.
mhm.
But yeah,
So,
crazy.
so
So
what were your initial thoughts, Jackie?
I mean, it's hard for me. I get riled up when I see stuff like this, anyways. So it was just it was just very surprising. Um, I wasn't sure what I thought at first. Like I really was just like, what the heck? What it was about a window? Like I am so confused at what the whole logic behind it was of
yeah.
what the police were trying to do. Like I mean,
So I'm gonna step on a limb and be completely non PC here. Okay. First and foremost, I think Tyreek Hill brought unwanted and undue attention on himself by doing the whole reckless driving thing. I don't know exactly what triggered it because I watched the video, um, and you never really see anything that kind of highlights him or focuses on what he's doing. But supposedly, I've heard rumor that he was doing in excess of 100 miles an hour and weaving in and out of traffic and just being a huge risk. Now, I have a hard time believing that to a certain extent because if you watch the body footage, the officer has time to put his helmet on, strap it in, start his bike, and that's a good 30, 45 seconds. If Tyreek Hill is actually doing 100 miles an hour, he would have been gone, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say he wasn't doing 100 miles an hour. Let's say speed limit's 40, he's doing like 60 or so.
So
Cutting in and out of traffic.
that's what they estimated that he was going. I guess they never actually clocked him. They
No.
just the estimated ticket was 60 and a 40.
Right.
So
Now, I can understand the police officer's initial reaction when he pulls up to the vehicle and orders Tyreek Hill to pull over. Hill should have rolled down his window, had his information ready to go, like, do the whole thing. But he did start kind of I don't want to say necessarily being intimidating, but he definitely was not complying with the officer, which then triggered the officer. Now, the officer was in the wrong by getting triggered and doing some of the things he did, like ordering Tyreek Hill out of the vehicle, because at that point, they had only detained him. They did not let him know that he was under arrest. They had no, other than speeding and potential reckless driving, of which, again, we can't see that from the video. It's hard to tell. I know I couldn't see anything from it. But there was nothing there, no evidence that showed that he was any kind of a potential risk for the officers for them to get him out of the vehicle. Now, again, Tyreek Hill, and you don't necessarily have to comply with the officers in the sense that you don't have to roll your windows down. You can roll your window down enough to be able to converse with the officer, hand your information through the window, and tell them for my own safety, I'm keeping the windows up until, like, you get a sergeant here or somebody here that I know that my safety is being taken into consideration, right? There are legal ways that you can do that to protect yourself as an individual. And especially, this is where it's going to be PC, but kind of probably not a little bit. For our minority friends that are out there, they do have to face some of these excessive risks from, police officers. Make sure that you are, like, what your legal rights are so that you are protected. Because unfortunately, as we saw with Tyreek Hill, some things can get out of hand, and you want to make sure that you're as protected as you can possibly be. So when the dust does finally settle, you are actually standing in the right, and you're protected by the law because of that. So
yeah. So my kind of my take on everything, I think Tyreek started the confrontation immediately as soon as he rolled down his window, because he rolled down the window yelling at the cop, don't knock on my effing window, don't knock on my effing window. Like, that immediately started the confrontation. And then he's like, hey, I'm just trying to get pay attention to you, blah, 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 whatever. And then at that point, Tyreek gives him his stuff. He says, you know what, just give me my ticket, let me get on, and then rolls his window back up because he's just kind of done with the situation. There's nothing wrong with that. He gave the cop his information. He rolls his window back up. Now, I know, kind of with Mike G's comment here, the tint on the window, yes, it's a very dark tinted car. You don't know what's going on the inside. It could be the guy could have a gun, but kind of the interaction before, Tyreek just wanted to get out of the situation. So, as a cop, you don't suspect that somebody's gonna, hey, here's my info, just write me the ticket, let's just be done with this, and then start looking for a gun. That's not the expectation to happen.
Yeah.
And so, and then Tyreek's reasoning of, well, I rolled it up because I didn't want people to drive by or walk by and see that it was me, get pulled over and start taking video and pictures and make it worse than it was. Well, that's a bullcrap answer too, because he was done with the situation. He wanted his ticket. He wanted to go to the game. Just write me the ticket, be done with it. Let's get on, roll a window up. So I understand his point of, hey, I was done. He was distancing himself from that situation. And then the cop kind of like, got offended that the window got rolled up. And that's where it really, really started to escalate. So, I think Tyreek kind of escalated everything right from the start by, screaming and cursing at the cop. He could have just rolled down his window. Hey, here's my stuff. Write me the ticket. My bad. Whatever. Let me get to the game. And then he probably could have rolled his window up and would have been good. But because of the previous back and forth, the cop kind of took offense to it. And that's where I think the cop was in the wrong by, getting offended that the window got rolled up, and then opening his door, yanking him out of the car, and then, putting the cuffs on him and stuff. I think both people handled the situation very poorly. And if either one does, handles it correctly, none of this ever happens. So, I don't. A lot like every other situation we see here. There's people that are going to say Tyreek did everything right. There's people that are saying the cop did everything right, and it's somewhere in the middle. Both parties screwed up and handled everything completely wrong.
Right. Now, speaking of handling situations correctly, let's talk about the two UFC players, or UFL players rather, that are in the the NFL. I don't know why I can't get my acronyms right today. We don't really know much about the offensive lineman from Arlington that is on the squad, but we do know about where the heck is he?
Bates.
Yeah, Jake Bates.
So he hit 2 field goals, both of them less than 40 yards. We didn't get to see his big leg that we saw in the UFL. But he made the 2 field goals. He ran out there to try. So good on him for that. Which actually, you know what? To kind of go back, which Jackie, we do this a lot, talking about kickers and long field goals. Back to the Cowboys game. Man, I wish McCarthy would have let Aubrey try that 71-yarder. Going into the halftime, the last kick of the game, we're right there. He was going to go for a 66. They, he kicked it, but they ended up getting called with a delay of game, moved him back 5 yards. But he made the 66-yarder with plenty of leg to spare. I think he could have hit that 71. But I'm like, man, he should have tried it. Should have tried it, man. Hashtag let Aubrey kick, man.
Yep. So, looking at the stats, where is his kicking at? Because he's with 49ers.
No, he's with Michigan, the Detroit.
Oh, that's right. My bad. I watched.
You don't know who's playing for who today.
You're so off today, Jay.
I'm always off every day.
If it's not Packers, he don't care.
I don't care. His kicks were solid. I again just proof positive why we need to have the UFL around. The kicker for this is what I was thinking of. Okay, so the kicker for the 49ers was absolutely money, right? Pretty much put everything on point where it needed to be. That's what I was thinking of. But what's his name? Mr. Bates definitely went 2 for 2. Longest was 32, like BD said. And I know that based on his history, playing in literally the exact same stadium that he played in the springtime, he's good for 60, man.
Yeah.
Let the cat do his thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of a good week for kickers all around. I mean, you had Boswell with Pittsburgh. I think he hit a team record, 6 field goals. You had just a lot of them. More than 50 yard plus field goals, just nailing them down the center. It seemed to be a good week for kickers this week.
It was a great week for kickers. Not for people picking kickers, because my kicker was absolute trash this week in fantasy football. So let's talk about some fantasy football. Jackie, are you playing fantasy football anyway?
I am not, but I think this is where I will peace out and let y'all fantasize about your fantasy football game.
Jackie, so much. Thank you
for letting me dip my toe back in, even though I had to have everything: the internet problems, Bluetooth.
It's all right.
You did great, and you didn't have to keep us all on track. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's probably why I was like, what? What's going on?
You just get to come on and talk. You don't have to corral a bunch of cats the whole time, man. We really appreciate you jumping on with us. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Hey, everybody that's following us, if you don't know who that is, that's 210 Paramasita, member of the Horns Forward podcast, and really the brains and the brawn behind our whole organization. Make sure that you're following her on Facebook. She's got 210 Paramasita page. I'm sure there's probably the Instagram and the MySpace and the whatever else. But also make sure that you're following her on the Horns Forward podcast. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that probably after things kind of settle down a little bit more, that we may be coming back and we may see a lot more of Jackie.
We'll
So
be coming out of hiatus very
Yeah,
soon.
good.
Okay,
All
Jackie,
right, guys. Have a good night.
love
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so now it's just us two clowns.
That's
So,
right.
speaking of clowns,
Our fantasy teams, a bunch of clowns, all of them.
I'm only in 3 leagues, and I absolutely only won 1 game. But I
You know
won in
what?
exciting fashion.
I'm in 4 leagues and I only won 1. So I did really good on in my pick'em leagues though. I only picked 2 games incorrectly. So there is that. But man, I got curb stomped in 2 of my leagues. And one I won 1 league convincingly against ours with I was playing the Brahma Bulletin. He didn't have a very good game. But my my other league, I lost because of the game last night. I was playing our friend the Riot, and he had Hall going for the Jets, and I had the San Francisco defense, and I was up a little bit going into the game by like a point. I was going to win that game. Defense outplayed Hall until the last 2 minutes of the game in garbage time. First, I thought I was going to end up losing the game because of some garbage runs that Hall had just in the last, kind of couple minutes of the game. But they ended up taking him out, put in the rookie, and they, proceeded to kind of just trickle down the field and score a garbage touchdown with like 30 seconds left in the game, which knocked my defense into the lower point bracket. And I lost 2 points on it and lost the game like that. It was a bunch of crap.
Yes. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
I have no idea.
So yeah, I was not very happy about that. Anytime you lose a game in garbage time, it kind of pisses you off. Although luckily I did not lose like I lost last season, which I lost on a quarterback kneel down to end the game because they deducted the points from the run yards. So I lost my game by like 0.02 points or something like that.
0.02. I've had that happen before.
Oh, that pissed me off. So
in one of our leagues that you and I are in, I lost to somebody by basically 45 points, right?
Oh, that's nothing. I lost by 80 points in that league.
Oh, I did not lose by 80 points in that league, so I don't feel so bad. I guess there's some Marlot that we have to drink or something now. But yeah, it was not good. The only one I did well in is the Big 12 Fantasy League, and that one I stomped our friend Zach Baldwin. I stomped that boy good. So at least I got joy in that. Now,
there you
go. Speaking of joy, why don't we talk about some of the college highlights and lowlights from this weekend? So, Brian, how'd your Aggies do?
We did exactly what I said we were going to do. We played McNeese State or whatever. I don't even know what their title is, but beat them 52-10. Wegman, he only had 125 yards passing, but once again, like just the run game was ridiculous. And I really think that's kind of what the Aggies are gonna rely on mostly this year. just having a stellar run game. So Wegman, he's not the best quarterback, but I think he's a pretty decent game manager. Um, so if we can kind of control the tempo and stuff with the run, we should be fine. But after last week's game against Notre Dame, we needed a get right game. So this is kind of the perfect time. And now we're going into a tough game this week against Florida. So that's going to be real interesting to see how we do. Kind of hopefully some of the good stuff that happened this past week kind of carries over.
Yes. And then you guys got a little bit of vindication with Notre Dame losing to
Absolutely.
an absolute unknown school.
Yeah, it was
So,
fantastic. I didn't obviously, we lost to them, so it doesn't really matter, but just watching them get beat by an unranked team was just, I cried tears of joy.
Yes. Now, our friends up north in Austin took care of business. They handled Michigan quite well.
That was surprising. Now, I think Michigan has kind of been overranked this year. I know they won the championship last year, but they lost their coach, they lost their quarterback, they lost a bunch of pieces. I think they were kind of ranked a little higher than they probably should have been. So, losing to Texas wasn't real surprising. Losing to Texas like that bad. It was 31-12, but really it wasn't even that close. It was just, Texas dominated the entire game.
Yes. And so I know all of our friends that are fans of the Big Ten absolutely loved seeing Michigan go down. So, and I'm sure the SEC was like, okay, wow, whatever,
Other than our friend Florida Brian. So,
Yeah, that's true. Florida Brian, who is now Sybil O'Brien, who still roots for Michigan somehow. I don't understand the whole connection there. Uh, One other thing I don't understand is absolutely how atrocious UTSA was this week.
Dude, what was that?
That was two things. First and foremost, we knew that UTSA was going to have a bad game at some point in time with Agent Zero not being at the helm anymore. This was not the game that we were expecting. The Marburger, who I don't remember if he's actually is he the junior that that has taken over the helm there. Yeah, he's the junior. He's the kid out of Mission, Texas. He 14 to 27, 147 yards, one touchdown, one interception. This looks like this was his first game.
It looks like
remember.
y'all had kind of a dual quarterback because you had McCown that took had 23 attempts in passing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if McCown got injured or if he just wasn't doing it, and so they put in Marburger just to get him some snaps.
I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and look. Our total offensive yards was 334 to their 504. And, oddly enough, we got just as much production from McCown in the equivalent amount of snaps as we did from Marburger. And I know McCown played, pretty much lights out last week. So I really don't know what happened. It would be interesting.
Really, and looking at, dude, Texas State had 195 yards rushing. Like, that is crazy. 309 yards in the air. So, yeah, almost, over 500 yards of offense, but almost 200 yards on the ground. That's just crazy. That's just straight domination.
Yeah, that's absolutely no respect for the defense whatsoever. And that one's going to hurt for a while, right? We knew that potential to lose that game was going to be there, but not like this, not under Trailer's watch. That's the thing I think that everybody's really surprised about.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anybody would have been, really upset, surprised. Texas State is a pretty good team. If UTSA had lost the game, I think everyone was just shocked at how bad that loss was. That was, it was 35-3 at halftime.
Yeah. So they're going to have another rough week this next week. They're going to be playing Texas in Austin, and so that's not going to be. So I'm assuming this is more going to be a tune-up game for UTSA to try and make some adjustments from last week and get prepared for the Huskies on September 21st, which is the Houston Christian Huskies, whom I've never heard of. Scooting around a little bit. We didn't really put it on our list, but let's talk a little bit about high school. And we're going to look at week 2 results.
So I know Steele won. Uh, I was looking at the kind of the top 10 in the city. I know Smithson Valley actually lost. They were like number 2 or number 3, and they actually lost to Brennan. Um, so once again,
Yep.
those who were watching last week, that's where my son's girlfriend goes to school. She's part of the high school band. I'm actually going to go watch their game Thursday night because she's playing in the band and he wants to see her. So, but yeah, they beat Smithson Valley in a real good game last week.
Yep. Piper actually beat Johnson, which I was kind of surprised about, but excited as well because my kids go to Piper Ranch, so that's the elementary school that feeds into Piper. So got to have a little bit of loyalty there. It looks like let's see. Roosevelt, of course, lost another game to East Central, 55-28. Like, did they even show up? Judson actually won. I was surprised to see that. Judson beat Hutto 31-29, and from what I've heard from our wonderful announcer friend Milton Hope, was that it was actually a really good game. So a lot of offense there. Elsewhere around the league, trying to look at some of the San Antonio teams that did some stuff. Not really seeing anything that stands out. Veterans Memorial dropped one to Burbank, 31-24. No fault to Matt Walker. I know that kid's working his way up to play on varsity soon, and it's not his fault. And your Madison Mavericks, they dropped another one. They lost to Harlan 31-23. And so like none of our teams really showed up on the high school side. And,
I think both of our teams are 0-2.
yeah. Now, here's one that really kind of makes me sad. Just looking at the high school scores and everything, and this is not a team that's necessarily ranked that's a powerhouse or anything like that. But Central Catholic beat Southside 62-0.
Golly.
Right? That's just disheartening. So, ouch. Right? That's no way to have a football game on a high school. But I mean, we've seen that before. We've seen worse. So now we're going to switch gears one more time. We're going to wrap up the show talking about some arena football because I think this part is important. Because one of the teams that I've been rooting for, it sounds like it's actually back. So we've talked about this again. Shout out to our friends at Pro Arena Talk for providing all the excellent coverage that they do, and our friend Bobby Otten, which we will be having on the show at some point in time, especially when we get closer to the season, because this guy is an aficionado when it comes to arena football. He absolutely loves the game, and I respect that. But we all know about the fiasco that was the AFL this last season, with teams coming in and all the legal trouble and just the absolute nightmare that it was to even get their first season off. And then they wind up playing in a shopping mall, which actually turned out to be pretty nice from the video that we've seen and the pictures of the seating and everything like that. It was almost like sitting at the food court and watching a football game. And then you could just go get yourself some Sbarro pizza and then go back and finish watching the game, right?
Yeah.
But in an interesting move, the AFL has now changed their name to AF1. Now, anybody that remembers the original AFL, when they decided to expand and create basically 2 tiers of competition, they had the AFL 1 and AFL 2, or AF 1 and AF 2. AFL has gone back to the name AF1. I think that's an interesting move because, again, they're still kind of playing in that area, that arena of nostalgia, but they're trying to show that they're separating themselves from the fiasco that happened last season, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I'm super excited about is not only have they restructured everything and tried to put a new face and a new product out there with some of these original teams and everything, they brought back the West Texas Desert Hawks. So excited for that, right? Now we've got a reason to watch this league and pay attention. And we get to see some of the teams like the Orlando Predators and the Georgia Force, and even Louisiana Voodoo is going to be back, right? Excited about that. Now, Louisiana Voodoo was not necessarily one of my favorite teams, but it was one of those memorable teams that San Antonio Talons played against and played well against. Most of those games that they played were always really good games. You knew that there was going to be an incredible spectacle there. So I'm excited that AFL has now become AF1, looking like they're going to be a much better organized organization, if you will. And if you want to find out more about the AF1 and the transition and the different teams and all that stuff, you can always head over to areainsider.com. That's where we're getting our information from this week. They've got a really nice article set up kind of talking about, what's going on with arena football, the different divisions, the Central, East, South, and West, where, all the different teams are, and you can get more information about the teams and everything there. So if you happen to live in Iowa, you can click on the Iowa Rampage page, and it'll take you to their Facebook page or wherever, and you can find out more about the team there. Something that XFL Mike G mentioned earlier was that the Brahma Bulletin did not get to play the certain player against you because he was interviewing Coach Menace, right?
It wouldn't have mattered.
And that may be the case. I don't know. I didn't even look at your scores. But I will say this, right? Just because we're in the offseason doesn't mean that these arena teams, specifically the San Antonio Gunslingers, are not doing things, right? They're making moves in the offseason. Coach Menace is still a part of the organization. He's, making moves to, find players to help out the staff, to bolster the team, to put forth a really good product this next season. I know Coach Menace is committed to, creating a winning environment and producing a winning organization, and that doesn't stop just because we're not playing, during the regular season anymore. So expect to see some really big things as we find out more announcements. We're definitely going to be sharing them with you guys, but the Gunslingers are definitely going to be coming out, guns blazing, no pun intended, and they're going to be looking to right the things that went wrong this last season and try and get that championship. And then, of course, we've got IFA going on as well. More signings, more players that are going to be here for the training camps and all that stuff. We don't really have a whole lot of news when it comes to that. What we do find out, we try and share on our X page or Facebook or whatever to try and keep you guys updated. There's just not necessarily a whole lot of movement. It seems to happen sporadically. You get a group of news, and then it's quiet for a while, and then you get another group of news, and then it's quiet for a while, and then another one, right? So again, as information comes out, we'll try and share that with you. Now, to land this puppy, if you will, Brian, who are the Cowboys playing this next week?
We're playing the Saints, which actually had a really good game last week. I mean, they were playing the Carolina Panthers, which is the worst team in the league, but Derek Carr looked good. I think he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, maybe more. A couple real nice looking passes. Saints defense was playing good. So, this is, they may not be a slouch team. So, Cowboys need to don't come in overconfident. And, kind of something else outside of the game, but, you said you didn't really watch much of the Cowboys game. It was Tom Brady's first game in the booth. And so I don't know like I said, if you watched any of it or paid attention to any of it, that first half, man, he looked real uncomfortable. stuttering over his words, just kind of trying to make points, really couldn't get it out. He seemed to kind of get a little better in the second half, so he's calling the Cowboys Saints game. So I'm kind of interested to see how he improves from his first game to the second one. Me personally, I was a big fan of Greg Olson in the booth.
Yeah.
I just love watching him listening to him call games. He did the early game, so he's still doing the Fox broadcast. So I enjoy watching him. We'll see how Brady kind of holds up to how much I enjoyed Olson.
Very cool. One thing we did forget to talk about, the Texans did beat the Colts 29-27. That's our next opponent.
That was a good game. Stroud to Diggs. I think Diggs had 2 touchdowns. And just man, they looked good.
Diggs had no touchdowns rushing. He had 2 touchdowns passing. Yeah, you're right.
What I said.
Well, I was just blown away. I got caught up on the Joe Mixon stat, right?
Oh yeah,
30 carries for 159 yards. That's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, this Colts game probably is not going to go very well for the Packers this next week. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? But it will definitely let us know how our defense does and how we can do against the run, because Richardson was contained to 6 carries for 56 yards. We're going to have to watch out for that for sure. And in the air, Alec Pierce is going to, he obviously broke one off, 3 receptions for 125 yards. So he definitely had one that he was able to work downfield for pretty deep. So we're going to have to watch out for things like that. This Ashton Doolin, who I've never heard of, 1 reception for 54 yards. That means that they like to play the deep ball.
Yeah.
So it's something that we're going to have to watch out for. Mike G, real quick, he commented on your assessment of Tom Brady, and you're not wrong. Tom Brady, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much great at every single thing that he does, it seems like. But this is announcing. It's a little bit different.
This is a whole different thing. So,
you can't just jump in and fake your way through this, right? You got to know what you're doing. So give him some time. I'm sure he'll warm up to it, and I'm sure he'll be fine. Right?
Not everybody could be Tony Romo right off the jump, but even now, Tony Romo's kind of gotten a little annoying, in the booth. So, his first season was fantastic. But
now how I feel about Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I cannot stand those two. But that's just,
they're okay. You know what? But they're okay. Like they're steady. They don't get too up. They don't get too down. They're just kind of middle of the road the whole game through. So that's what I kind of enjoy that with them calling the game. Like you get Romo, you get a 2-yard pass and he thinks this is the greatest play he's ever seen in his life. It's just all right, dude. You're a little too excited calling this game here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I'm sorry, I just happened to break off over to Facebook real quick. Ian Rappaport just put out this article about, it was earlier today, probably about an hour or so ago. Aaron Rodgers, and I'm so glad this is happening. Okay. Ian Rappaport said, following the Jets' loss on Monday, Aaron Rodgers reportedly delivered an impassioned locker room speech emphasizing accountability and teamwork. He told the team he wouldn't point fingers because he only has 10, and at least 21 people were to blame for the loss. Typical Aaron Rodgers style. Okay? And I'm sure he's not one of them. But if you look at his stats and the way he played, yep. So I'm so glad. You're with the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. Thank you so much. You provide so much enjoyment for me.
Since you brought it up, can look, the NFL has all these new helmets, all like the edge and the really cool sleek looking ones. And I know we kind of made fun of the Guardian the Guardian caps and stuff, kind of how ridiculous they are. And I think it needs to be said, Aaron Rodgers looks absolutely ridiculous with that old, just round freaking helmet. Like, dude, go to one of the newer styles. Go to one that looks good. That one just looks dumb, looks ridiculous. I mean, that helmet is probably as old as he is. So it's time to get another one.
This is Aaron Rodgers during training
Yeah,
camp.
looks exactly like it. Looks exactly like it.
Yep. So there you go. Right, the Great Gazoo, Aaron Rodgers. There's way too many similarities there, dude. Get a new helmet, man. Here. I got a helmet for you. Right, I got. I can hook you up, get you with all the team colors.
Hopefully not that. I don't know. I don't know if I want him playing on that team. You know.
No. He can get the helmet there. So, and Mike G, I'm glad that you did that. Right, somebody needs to take him out of our misery. So, anyways, guys, this has been fun. This has been a great show. Obviously, we've got a lot going on this next weekend. We've got some pretty big games. Does Green Bay find a way to nurse their way through the Jordan Love injury, or are we going, 0-4, 1-3? Like, where are we going to land? Are the Cowboys going to be able to continue to, dominate the field with this new Dak Prescott contract? And, does Mike McCarthy have enough wherewithal to put the cheeseburger down to actually pay attention to what's going on in the game? Does UTSA lick their wounds and take their beating from Texas and just prepare for the next game, or are they going to actually try and fight? As Texas State continued to dominate, that nobody really expected other than maybe Mike G, which that's fine, right? Somebody's got to root for the underdogs. In the meantime, we're going to have some other incredible games, right? A&M, has got a pretty big game against Florida, as BD said. We'll see what happens with that one. We've got plenty of high school action that's going to be coming your way this weekend, starting on Thursday. We've got some NFL games on, or at least one NFL game on Thursday this week, I believe.
Yep, got one. It's the Dolphins and Bills.
I love that, man. That's going to be in every show now. So
that's, you know what? That's why I have it set up like this. So if I need to, all right, who's playing? Oh, yep. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Easy reference.
I believe, who are our friends in Texas, Houston, playing?
They are playing. Where are they at? Where are they at? Oh, they're playing Chicago.
Ooh. So you know who I'm rooting for in that game. So, anyways, so much fun this week. Thank you to Tempo Ramasita for joining us this week. Our shout out to our friends, Pro Arena Talk at Alternative Football Network, XFL Mike G, and just everybody else, all you fans. Thank you so much. This was episode 78 or 79. I got to go back and count.
78.
I don't really remember. But
it says right up there in that little top left-hand corner. You see it?
Yeah, I don't, but that's fine. What I do know is that we're inching closer and closer and closer to that 100th episode. And we probably need to start planning what we're going to do, right? But we do finally have other big announcement. We do finally have a true podcast set up on Spotify right now. Texans Talking Football. If you want to, hear what your friends here have going on during the week, and you don't feel like bringing up one of our old videos on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify. We're also going to be on Apple, the Apple Music, whatever. I don't know anything about the Apple stuff. And we're also going to be on Amazon. So 3 different major podcast venues, right? We're going to be on there. And Mike G, be quiet. We'll get it uploaded. Stop. But
and, really, I mean, you can listen to us, and I mean, look at us. That's probably the way to go. Just listen to us. You don't have to see us or anything. So do yourself a favor and just listen to us.
Yep. Or keep tuning in here because we appreciate it. We love the views.
Absolutely.
We love you viewers.
Absolutely.
So,
we love everyone chatting with us.
Yep. Shout out to our sponsor, W Energy Drink. And I 100% dropped the ball, and I forgot to get it before the show. And so I was going to display it this week and didn't do it. And so I'm 100% doing our sponsor a disservice. But I promise you, one of these days I will do this. Okay? That's just how this show works. We forget things all the time. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you next week. All right?
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great week.
Go Pack, go. And
go Cowboys. It's our year.
It's your year.